What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video. And I guess welcome to day 5, I believe. I believe it's day 5. Let me check. I did Q the Winged Serpent, Hangman, then I did Vampires, and Idle Hands. So yeah, this is day 5. Sorry about the brain fart there. But welcome to day 5 of the 31 Days of Horror Challenge in October. Now I figured I'd talk about another film that I think is really underrated and things like that. It's a really underrated horror gem from the 80s. It's from 83 to be exact. And it's one of those films that I saw not too recently, and I couldn't help but I had to talk about this film because I watched this a couple times already, and I think it gets better with each viewing. And if you can tell by the title of the video, it's going to be on this: Of Unknown Origin. If it can't scare them to death, it will find another way. Of course, the Scream Factory Blu-ray of this, but Of Unknown Origin came out in 1983, directed by George P. Cosmatos. This is the same guy that went on to direct Rambo 2, Cobra, two of my favorite Stallone films. He also went on to direct Tombstone, which is a great Western, and things like that. And I think, this is easily, I think probably his most underrated movie. Maybe Cobra. I mean, I guess Cobra, like, nowadays, I guess has, like, a fan base, but not many people really talk about this film, Of Unknown Origin. And I think it's a criminally underrated horror film. Now, the cover, like, doesn't really tell you what the movie's about. I mean, the cover kind of makes it look like it's like a monster movie, like a werewolf movie or things like that. And I know the way they advertise it in the trailer kind of makes it look like it's a haunted house movie, and it's not either one of them. The basic idea with this film is that you have Bart Hughes, who's a Wall Street executive, played by Peter Weller. Way before he was RoboCop, did a film like this, and I think it's one of his best performances, in my opinion. But he plays a guy who is a Wall Street executive, who's trying to work on this project to get a promotion, and if he does so, it's going to change his life and for his wife and son, and he's going to get a lot more money, and he's going to make a lot more money, and things like that. And he lives in this home that he built from scratch, built from bottom to top, and he's a guy that is really, protective of his home, doesn't want to get things dirty, like doesn't want to get the carpet dirty, things like that. And his wife and son go out for a vacation, and they leave him by himself at the house alone to work on his thing, so that way he can probably get a promotion. But while he's in the house by himself, there is a rat problem, and this giant rat is causing problems for him, and it becomes like this whole obsession of Peter Weller's character trying to get rid of this rat problem, him squaring off against the rat, pretty much. And sorry, but that's pretty much what the idea of the film is about. It's about a guy who's obsessed with getting rid of this rat. And now, when you think about the plot, you think, like, really, like a guy versus a rat, like, really, like, that's the plot of the movie? But I think the way that George P. Cosmatos directed this film, he took an idea that may sound silly, and he did it really, really well. First off, I think Peter Weller does a great job as Bart Hughes. He's a guy that, like I said in the beginning, he's really protective of his home, doesn't want to get things dirty, things like that. I mean, there's even a point in the beginning of the movie where his son's going across the carpet. He's like, "Oh no, like, no, wait, don't do that. Like, don't do that on the carpet." He's really fairly cleanly and like a perfectionist kind of like guy. His wife is actually played by Shannon Tweed, way before she was Miss Gene Simmons many years later. And you have other people in the film as well. You have Lawrence Dane, who was in Rituals and Bride of Chucky and I think he worked on SCTV a lot back in the day with John Candy. I believe he was on SCTV. I could be wrong, because I know when John Candy was doing SCTV, Lawrence Dane was in quite a few films with him in John Candy's early career before he broke into American films like Stripes and all that stuff. You also have a really small role by Louis Del Grand. That's the guy in Scanners whose head explodes. That's the guy in Scanners, like the head explosion. He's in this in a fun role where he plays a guy who's trying to help Peter Weller out, and he's giving Peter Weller tips on how to catch rats and things like that. And he has a really fun line where he's like, like this rat is 100% obsessed with you because he has nothing better to do. So, and what I loved about this film is how much of a build-up it is, and when you get to the finale, I mean, it's one of those things where the whole obsession grows and grows and things like that. Like, at first the rat's causing really small problems. Like, it's messing up, like the mouse traps don't work, or, he's, you see like a little shadow just kind of staring down Peter Weller. So it's like kind of simple things, but then it starts getting worse and worse, and the more obsession with this guy has of trying to catch this rat. I mean, when I say it escalates, like there's even a moment where Peter Weller is trying to take a pee in the toilet, and the rat comes out of the toilet and tries to attack him when he's trying to take a pee. So, I mean, this rat is just causing all kinds of problems for him. I mean, and then the rat starts messing up his pipes and things like that. And then you have some, and it also has a really little bit of a fun sense of humor where Peter Weller's like as if he's talking to the rat. And he has some fun dialogue and things like that. So, and eventually gets to this whole point in the finale where Peter Weller gets into this outfit. I mean, and at this point, I mean, Peter Weller doesn't give a shit no more. And you get to the whole finale where, like I said, he gets into this outfit and he has this baseball bat where he puts like nails on it and steel traps, and he's going after the rat. And like this is like the kind of thing where it's kind of like a character arc in a way, because like in the beginning, he's a guy that's very protective of his home, doesn't want anything to be destroyed in his home. Very uptight. I wouldn't say like uptight, but he's really protective of his home. Like wants to keep things in order, things like that, because it was a house that he built himself. But like toward the end, though, because this rat's giving him so much problems and things like that, he just doesn't give a shit no more. Gets with that baseball bat and into that outfit and starts just going around trying to catch the rat and just starts tearing apart everything in his house. He's tearing up the kitchen and things like that. And then you get to a whole point in the finale in the basement. I'm not going to get into what happens. And you have a really funny line to end the movie, which is a lot of fun. I'm not going to say what it is. I want to try to keep this more for you guys to look for yourself in a way, because like the finale is just crazy, over the top, just fun, just him just tearing the house apart. I'm not going to get into a whole lot about it because I want to save that for you, but I'm just going to say that gives you a little hint of what it's going to be like in the finale, because Peter Weller just goes off his rocker and just doesn't care no more. But yeah, but this is a very solid flick. It's a really solid movie about obsession, like this guy's obsession with trying to get rid of this rat, and just like the way the rat is just escalating things as the movie goes on, and it ultimately drives Peter Weller to just go out all on it's like they say in Aliens, this time it's war, and he just goes to town and tries to go after the rat and toward the end of the movie. I don't really want to say much more about this film, but if you want to see a really early role for Peter Weller, if you're a big Peter Weller fan, way before he was RoboCop, I think this is definitely one of his best performances. I also really like the way that George P. Cosmatos directed this. I think he did a capable job directing this a lot. I like the musical score and things like that. And I also really like the fact that you don't really see much of the rat, although you see like close up shots of like an actual rat, but then you have really cool camera shots of the POV of the rat, but you don't see the rat as much, which I think worked for the better, because then you don't want to make it a little bit too silly if you see the rat too much, things like that. It's kind of like Jaws, where you don't see the shark that much, which is, for the better, because it builds up more of the suspense and things like that. In a way, it's kind of like Jaws, but with a rat, pretty much. It's pretty much what that reminds me of. But, like I said, I don't want to say much more about the film, but it's a really solid horror flick. It's got some good elements of horror. It's got a little nice bit of sense of humor in there and things like that. So that is pretty much it for my review for Of Unknown Origin. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.